Let's go and create that service report here. And this is that report that you would hand over, in many cases on a tablet, turn the tablet around, hand it to the customer. Hey, can you look through this, make sure everything's valid, and sign off? So they can say, yep, you were here, you installed the new circuit breaker, here's the heating coil and the hanger wires that you guys used. 5 hours of labor, yes, you were here for 5 hours. Comments, if I want to put anything in, Vincent did a great job. I can put in my own comments as well. Customer was okay with me. Automatically email them based on the email address in service management, or we can add a new one here and update the address book if need be. And I'll just go ahead and have the customer sign. If we want the technician to sign too, we can add a second spot for your tech to sign. And all of your terms and agreements can be added to this as well. This is something that they're signing off saying, yes, everything here is valid. We accept. Do we want to include that picture of the heater along with it? I'm not going to include it. Continue. This down sends the email to or a PDF document to the customer and back to whoever it is in the office that I want to also be notified of this. That could be a trigger. When the person in the office receives the PDF documents showing the signed and everything on there, they go, okay, it's time to bill this out. They can open up service management, pull up that work order, go to the register, verify everything's correct. Here's the hanger parts, here's the 5 hours of labor, and maybe I'm saying, you know, we're going to give them a discount. We're only going to do 4 hours of labor. However changes you want to, this is on the work order side, and then you can just create that invoice. This could be minutes after the service ticket is done, meaning that you can go from a time that might have taken 3 days to a week to get a billing out after service is done to seconds to a day or however long it takes for one person to receive their email, open up a screen, check everything, and put in their sign off to create the billing. All of that's done so much quicker, and because of that, we got our reporting quicker as well. I can run my profitability reports and see all this. Your technician's also getting their time card filled out. I put my 5 hours there, and it's showing up here, 5 hours plus my 1 hour there. Say I need to add some miscellaneous time. Maybe I was working in the shop yesterday or Wednesday, or maybe I was sick or on vacation, shop time. Maybe I was working on a job, and I don't have a job time here. I need to create one, apparently. But I can say I was over there working at Northwest Food Warehouse on this. It wasn't a service work, but I was working on my cost code for equipment and whatever category we want to run off that. Probably equipment would be something similar to it. And then I can save my changes, which really just creates it. Oh, and I forgot to actually type in my hours. So 3 hours. So I can put the time in there, and this time is, again, going directly into my service management for view so we can get this sent over to payroll. So as I enter in all my time, I can see my time card. I can come down to the bottom here at the end of the week, submit my time card. Yep, I report everything is accurate. I could put my van mileage on there. Took all breaks and lunches, or whatever comments you want to put. And signature. So my tech can sign it off, submit this time to me. I will, as their boss, would receive a signed thing saying everything's valid. And if I open up my service management here and go to tasks, edit time entries, and pull today up, you'll see all that time that has been entered for today, and I only did today. But I can see that time's entered, all the different pieces, and I can reconcile it and send it right back to payroll. Again, taking care of all that middleman of having to enter in the time in multiple places. We can do everything once, and it automatically is ready to go. Someone asked, and this is a very good question, can you input exact times, 8:30 to 9:30? Yes, you can. We actually have the two options with time on here. The way I've been showing it right now is the majority of people use it. Probably about 80% of people just enter in the time flat out. But we also have a good amount of people as well who use this as a punch in, punch out. Because one of the things you can do is when you're completing those assignments, say I am traveling, I'm starting, I'm completing, we can make that stamp go automatically generate us time. So we can get those exact punch in, punch outs as we're doing work. And again, we're geo-stamping where they are when they're doing it, so we can make sure they're always in the right place. It's nice to think about if you want to go that route. It's something we have the ability to do. So we talked about time. I'm looking at the time my time here, and I got about 10 minutes left. So I'll probably do about 5 more minutes, and then we'll get into some Q&A. So we talked about time. All that's going back into service management. Everything's being sent directly in. And if I come over here, I can also look at quotes. And this is, I'm going to jump back to my work order for a minute here. And while I'm opening up my work order, a question came in about fleet tracking, such as Fleetmatics. Actually said the specific question was, does this take the place of that? I'm going to say no, but we work with Fleetmatics. It's actually the only fleet tracking system we work with. So if you're a Fleetmatics user, great. But Fleetmatics will integrate with our system. So on the dispatch board, when you're dispatching out, you'll actually see exactly where your trucks are at any given time. Good question that came through. Where I was going with, though, on this work order is something I skipped as I was creating it, is quotes. One of the things we can do as a tech is generate a quote. And it could be as simple as, hey, I'm seeing some work that needs to be done. And they just put in the details they see, and it sends that back to the office for someone to appropriate and get the right information. So let's say I'm doing this heater work, and I'm also noticing that their lighting fixtures are an issue, and we also take care of lighting. So fluorescent lighting, and I can't spell, so I'll come back to that, is flickering. That's my brief scope of work here. Wow, okay, I'm not even close. That's fine. Office, this is back or main office location. Parts description, whatever the specs are that you'd want to put in there. And then I can email this over to my service manager and generate this quote. This then is a note that's put into the system. So we have, as a technician filling that out, it's now noted. We got the quote in the system. As a tech, that's usually all I do. I continue on my day. It's emailed over to the service manager, though, or whoever is going to do the quote. They just log in, bring up the quote, and then they can start putting in all the extra details. So they see what's going on there. Okay, yeah, I know that type of work. I'm going to say that type of work's going to take only an hour and a half, let's say. Maybe we'll need a helper, maybe we won't. We bill that out at $100 an hour, and I'll put that labor in. I'm also going to include the parts. Hey, we need the fluorescent lights, and I think those are going to cost so much money. Once, as somebody who's entering this all in, I put in all the appropriate amounts, and then we can actually verify everything. So let's go ahead and put in this labor here now, and then I'll go ahead and put in, let's do a miscellaneous item for a new light bulb. So we're going to say light bulb, because I apparently can't spell fluorescent, and we might need 4 of those, and those cost us well, probably not a whole lot. Let's say $15 each, or let's say they cost us only $5 each, but we're going to mark them up 150%. And I can come and review it. So before I send this off, I can look here to see what our cost versus what we're selling, what our pieces are. I can see I'm going to make $6 to $7 of profit in gross margin. If any of this is negative or zeros, I'm going to stop and fix it before I click the send email to send email to the customer. I can see what this looks like before we run it. I can say, let's go ahead and print this. And this will let me see what that is, and it's customizable. Right now, it's got all the details. Say we don't show the quantities, we only show the end price. We can destroy or take off anything but the total and generate that PDF and send it over. Someone asked if can you use pre-marked up items in the system, and the answer is yes on the parts section. So if you're using the service inventory, we can do that in the system. So we got the quote going here. It's coming through the system, and I think my WebEx did something funny. Give me a second here. Yeah, reopen that. And so the quote's sent off to the customer. When the customer receives the quote, they could say, yep, I want that. They'll call the dispatcher out or whomever and say, I'd like to make this quote happen. We can turn that into a work order right from our quote system there. One last piece I want to talk about before I switch over to the full Q&A, and we'll just briefly discuss this. We have a jobs connection here as well. So if you have a non-service people or non-service jobs that you work, we can come in here, and I actually changed my data recently, so I don't have any to show, but we can actually do daily field reports in here and do your daily field reports for your different jobs and create time right from those. So your superintendents can fill that out, and they can even say, my guys work these hours, and send those back to payroll. So we have all that ability on the job side as well.